For the past year, I've been giving the public, giving the entire world a biblical mandate, showing you the biblical mandate that the Jews of Jerusalem have for Gaza and southern Lebanon. And the reason for it. The reason is in Yoel 3. We will get to that in just a few minutes. But before we get to that, I want to go to henryjacksonsociety.org. And on, this is a PDF file apparently, page number 8, Hezbollah and its history of international terrorism and violence. Hezbollah's activity is a terrorist group often thought to be limited to its war against Israel. This is a great mistake. From its killing of 58 French peacekeepers in 1983 to a current day, Hezbollah has repeatedly sought out and killed and been implicated in the killing of numerous European targets. Yet despite this fact, the European Union refuses to put Hezbollah on its official list of designated terrorist groups. This includes Hamas, but inexplicably not Hezbollah. And it's interesting that the United States has Hezbollah on its terrorist list, but the EU does not. Why is that? I think I know the reason why, but we'll continue here. The official reason given by the EU is that there is a separation between the political and military wings of Hezbollah, kind of like there is a separation of the political wing of the Nazi Party and the military wing. Makes absolutely no sense. Well, this is how Europeans think, unfortunately. In reality, no such separation exists. Hezbollah does not see it. Lebanon, which Hezbollah has done so much to destroy, does not see it. America does not see it. Only the EU sees this separation between the political wing and the military wing of Hezbollah. It is time that this disgraceful anomaly was rectified, not only because it is wrong, but because the current situation allows and encourages Hezbollah to recruit and fundraise in Europe. And that is the reason why. Europeans want Hezbollah to continue fundraising in Europe. For their part, Hezbollah's leaders are deeply concerned about what would happen if the EU did finally designate their organization. The Secretary General of Hezbollah, Hassan Nasrallah, has himself said that were the EU to outlaw Hezbollah, it would destroy the group because the sources of our funding would dry up and the sources of moral and political material support will be destroyed. That means that the European Union is the sole reason Hezbollah exists. Now, I know they're getting a lot of military equipment from Iran, but Hezbollah is purchasing military equipment from Iran with EU money. So, to the EU, let me tell you way in advance, you're next. But Israel has to deal with Hezbollah first. Now, how long is it going to take? Well, the October 7th situation has been going on for nearly a year now. I don't expect this this war for southern Lebanon to go any faster, but you never know. That's why you always have to be watchful, stay awake. So this publication aims to serve as a reminder of what Hezbollah has done. but it is also intended to serve as a resource for European citizens. The case for designating Hezbollah is overwhelming. We need political leadership on the issue, but that will only come about if European citizens who abhor terrorism and who have suffered so many times from it make their voices heard. It is in our power to make Nasrallah's nightmare come true and a process to make a practical step toward assisting peace in the Middle East and Europe. Well, the political leaders in Europe have been inviting anti-Israel militants into Europe for decades, probably to make sure that there could be no vote or no way to reverse the EU's or expose or how do I say this? Take the teeth out of the EU elite's hatred toward the Jews. You see, they don't want any kind of a vote against Hezbollah. There is a reason. It is hatred for the Jews. They would sacrifice their own countries in order to stop the Zionist state from turning into the Zionist kingdom. And that's what's going to happen, folks. The Zionist state, run by the Roman Republic, is going to overnight turn into the Zionist kingdom. So in this particular article, you can suicide truck bombing of the U.S. Embassy in Beirut supplied by Iran. Casualties: 49 embassy staff were killed, 34 were injured, and the embassy was relocated to Akkar, north of the capital. And other accounts, the 63 Americans, including 63 people, including 17 Americans. And I fault Ronald Reagan for not responding, for not just completely wiping out Hezbollah. But once again, I think the overwhelming hatred of Israel, of the Jews, of the Zionist state, and fear of a Zionist kingdom coming, they did nothing. And so consequently, in 1983, same year, just a few months later, the bombing of the U.S. and French Marine barracks in Beirut, 299 dead. Another accounts of 240 Marines died, 58 French soldiers. March 15, 1984, William Buckley, a CIA operative, worked at the embassy in Beirut, is kidnapped and later murdered. Then a bombing of a restaurant near the U.S. Air Force Base in Torreon, Spain. 18 U.S. servicemen killed, 83 injured. Car bombing of the U.S. Embassy Annex in Beirut. 11 killed and 58 injured. Hijacking of Kuwait Airlines plane. They killed 4. This was all in 1984. What did they do about Hezbollah? Not a damn thing. Hijacking of TWA Flight 847. Right here in February 16, 1985, Hezbollah releases Downtrodden in Lebanon and the World Manifesto calling for an Iranian-style Islamic State in Lebanon and for Israel's destruction. At first, 2 hijackers and 153 passengers. In Algiers, hijackers became 12 to 15. All crew were released except for 32 male Americans and crewmen. Demands release of 50 Shiite Muslims detained in Israel. Terrorists was aiming to free 700 Shiite Muslims detained in Israel. To be able to land in Beirut, they killed 1 Marine U.S. officer. This is in 1985. In 1988, the murder of 3 Saudi diplomats. Not much about that. And then in 1989, suspected murder of the 3rd Secretary of Saudi Arabia in Bangkok, who was shot in his residence. And once again, suspected murder of 2 Saudi diplomats and a telex operator at the Saudi embassy in Bangkok who were shot dead. Suspected of kidnapping Saudi businessman who vanished without a trace, declared dead, but body was never found. This was in 1990. Murder of Ehud Sadan, security chief at the Israeli embassy in Ankara, Turkey, 1982. And Ehud Sadan dead, 2 Turks and a passerby, injured 1 9-year-old child and a taxi driver. Suicide bombing at the Israeli embassy in Buenos Aires. We all remember that. Or do we? Those of us who are my age absolutely remember this. 29 killed, more than 240 injured. Attempted murder of Jack Kamhi, head of Turkish Jewish community. The operation failed. And 4 gunmen were shot at Kamhi's car. Attempt to explode a car bomb at Israeli embassy in Thailand. The operation failed. 1994. Suicide bombing of the Argentine Jewish Mutual Association building in Buenos Aires. Do you remember that? 85 killed, approximately 300 injured. This is Hezbollah. This is the terrorist group that the EU refuses to label as a terrorist organization. Hezbollah, this was in 1995. Hezbollah bombards towns in northern Israel with volleys of Katyusha rockets in one of the group's numerous attacks on Israeli civilians. And in 1996, Hezbollah fires 28 Katyusha rockets into northern Israeli towns. A week later, the group fires 16 rockets, injuring 36 Israelis. And from what location were they firing those rockets? Southern Lebanon. Israel responds with a major offensive known as the Grapes of Wrath operation to stop the Hezbollah rocket fire. Truck bombing at the U.S. portion of the Khobar Towers housing complex in Saudi Arabia. Do you remember that? I do. 19 American Air Force personnel killed, 372 injured. Did the United States of America do anything about it? Absolutely not. Hezbollah opens fire on northern Israel with dozens of rockets in one of the group's numerous attacks on Israeli civilians. This is in 1997. Then the suspected murder of an American officer and high-ranking Turkish officer occurred in the year 2000. And Hezbollah operatives abduct an Israeli businessman and 3 Israeli soldiers patrolling Israel's border with Lebanon. The soldiers' remains and the businessman are returned to Israel in 2004. So in June 2000, United Nations Secretary General Kofi Annan acknowledges Israel's withdrawal from Lebanon. His report is adopted by the UN Security Council. Nevertheless, Hezbollah insists that Israel still occupies Lebanon. It claims that 22 square kilometers of the Sheba Farms, which is disputed by 3 countries, Israel, Syria, and Lebanon, is still occupied. So finally, in December 11, 2002, and not doing it sooner is inexcusable for Canada, but Canada finally proscribes Hezbollah as a terrorist organization. Shooting attack against Israeli vehicles near the Israeli-Lebanese border. Casualties: 6 killed, 7 injured in 2002. So in August 11th, the United Nations Security Council adopts Resolution 1701, which ends the Israeli-Hezbollah war and calls for the disarmament of armed groups in Lebanon, a direct reference to Hezbollah, which refuses to disarm. Hezbollah operatives kill 8 Israeli soldiers, and kidnap 2 others stationed in Israeli sovereign territory. The soldiers' remains are returned to Israel in July 2008. And in 2008, Hezbollah's military chief Ahmad Muqniya was killed by a vehicle bomb in Damascus, resulting in the following reported disruption of cell activities. 2008, disruption of a cell in Baku, Azerbaijan, targeting the Israeli embassy there. Late 2008, the disruption of a cell in Egypt targeting Israeli tourists and ships in transitioning the Suez Canal. 2009, operation disrupted in Turkey. Early 2011, Israel warned its citizens of several Hezbollah plots against Israeli interests in Turkey, Azerbaijan, Georgia, and Cyprus. So we have 2011. Attempted assassination of Israel consul Moshe Kimchi. 8 Turks were injured. So the UN Special Tribunal for Lebanon indicted 4 Hezbollah members, including a senior Hezbollah official. Hezbollah does not allow any of its members arrested and considers STL as a proxy of the U.S. and Israel. The 4 indicted Hezbollah operatives claim responsibility for attack by the United Nations court investigations, and on and on and on it goes. And this list is plenty more long. All right? So you get the general idea that Hezbollah has its comeuppance coming for a long, long time, and that war with Hezbollah and Israel ending up like it did was a catastrophe. They should have been able to wipe out Hezbollah once and for all. So I want to remind everybody once again what is going to happen to southern Lebanon. Israel has a mandate by the scriptures to deal with southern Lebanon once and for all. So do not speak against Israel when they are doing Jehovah's work. For in the days and time when I return the captives of Yehudah to Jerusalem. Well, he did do that. And the pinnacle of that event was 1967. He's going to gather the Goy and bring them down to the valley of judgment. Or it means Jehovah judges. So it's going to be the valley of Jehovah judges. And he will judge them for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the Gentiles and parted my land. All right? And he goes on to describe how they dispersed his land and his people. Tyre and Zidon, and the coast of Pelesheth. What is Pelesheth? Well, we know that Tyre and Zidon is in southern Lebanon. What is Pelesheth? A territory on the south Mediterranean coast of Israel. Gaza. Are you going to render me a recompense? Are you going to do something about it? Tyre, Zidon, and Gaza? Are you going to do something about it? If you do, I will do something to you. And speedily will I return your recompense upon your own head. You took my silver and my gold, and you carried into your temples my pleasant things, the children of Yehuda, and Jerusalem you have sold unto the Greeks, to the sons of Japheth, to the cradle of civilization, to the Romans as well, that you might remove them far from their border. I will raise them out of the place where you sold them, and I will return your recompense upon your own head. He is going to do to them what they did to the Jews. And so when you see the pagers explode and remove certain body parts, that's recompense. And I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hands of the children of Yehuda. In other words, Gaza and southern Lebanon, Tyre and Zidon, are going to lose. Hezbollah is going to lose this war. And will deport them to the Sabians. Sabians? I've showed you many times already that there are already plans in the works to deport these people to Congo. Is it Congo? I think it is, if I remember correctly. But I've done videos on that already. To a people far, Jehovah has spoken, and there's nothing any of you can do about it. And what will this lead to when they finally defeat Hezbollah, Tyre and Zidon? This occurs. Proclaim to the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men. So this event is going to cause consternation in the world. They're going to accuse Israel of genocide, is what they're going to do. They always blame Israel. In fact, just even some of you who think that the greatest allies of Israel among the Gentiles would do Israel no wrong, would do the Jews no wrong, let me show you this. Trump claims if he loses election, it will be the fault of the Jews. All right. Trump says Jewish voters will be partly to blame for election loss. Let's see what hooray. I didn't see this one. Days after outraging U.S. Jews, Trump doubles down on Israel being totally demolished if he loses the 2024 election. What kind of nonsense is he talking? Now you see, Israel is not going to be demolished. The state of Israel is going to turn into the kingdom of Israel. Let us continue. So he tells the Gentiles, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears, and let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourselves and come down, you Gentiles, and gather yourselves together round about, and cause your champion, to come down, Jehovah. So this will be the event that brings the Gentiles against Jehovah's champion, whose name is, not Jesus. His name is Yehoshua. It always was Yehoshua. It is Yehoshua now, and it shall always be Yehoshua. That is his name. The name Jesus is the name of the adversary, Satan himself. Let the Gentiles be awakened and come to the valley of judgment, for there will I judge all the Gentiles round about. Put you in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Get you down, for the press is full. The fats overflow, for the wickedness is great, multitude in the valley of decision, for the day of Jehovah's wrath is near in the valley of decision. The sun and the moon shall be darkened, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. Jehovah will roar out of Zion, which means out of Jerusalem, and utter his voice from Jerusalem, and the heavens and the earth shall shake, and Jehovah will be the hope of his people, the shelter of his people, and the strength of the children of Israel. So, the first phase of Yoel 3 has been done by dealing with Gaza. Hopefully it's been done. And hopefully Israel will fulfill the second phase of Yoel 3, which is going to cause the Gentiles to come against Israel. They do not. They will sacrifice everything to stop the state of Israel from becoming the kingdom of Israel.